Sorry about this. Hold on. Technical issue. Here we go. Greetings, everybody. Lovely that you could all join us today. And let me share my screen and put ourselves in presenter mode so that hopefully you can see this a bit better. And we can start talking a bit about AI and harnessing AI for business success. We are delighted that you could all join us and be here today to talk about that. Just while the last few are logging on, we thought we'd try and introduce ourselves a little bit here and give you a taste of what our panelists and what I'll be talking about. I'm delighted that Jonathan Zook's president of Van Super Abrasives, is with us today. He's going to talk about AI from the exporter's point of view and from NADEC. Also, Ann Burkett. I think most of you know Ann and is a staunch defender for NADEC and exporters. And Ann will also be telling a bit about from NADEC's point of view. We're delighted that Bill Edwards could join us, CEO and global advisor for Edwards Global Services, and he's going to give us a real life example of AI and how he's used it to help his clients. And then I'll be taking the stage a bit after that and show you some use cases from the digital marketing point of view. Anne, do you want to quickly just maybe say a few words?
Sure. Well, thank you, Suzanne, and good afternoon, everyone. As Suzanne said, I'm representing the National Association of District Export Councils, also known as NADEC, and we are very pleased today to partner with IBT Online on this very timely webinar to explore how SMEs can benefit from AI in their international business endeavors. And we recently had our annual conference. NADEC is an organization that brings together over 61 different district export councils from across the U.S. We have a little over 1,500 members, and as well as other SMEs that want to expand their markets overseas. So we just had this conference a few weeks ago, and AI was one of the key topics that we discussed, and IBT was very involved in that. So we really appreciate that support. As you probably are aware, AI can be an excellent resource to assist businesses that may not have the dedicated resources for extensive international market research. So learning about these tools will certainly be a great benefit to our SMEs. It can help them gain insight into which markets may offer best prospects for their products and services. And it can also help in their training, marketing, and communications. So we're really looking forward to hearing what people are doing on the ground with the companies that we have with us today, as well as the case studies, Susanna, that you're going to provide. And also, I'm sure that you will touch on this, but there's issues like legal considerations and ethical considerations that have to be explored when you're using the AI. But it is here. It is here to stay. It is only going to get better. And I think we all are going to have to leverage AI to remain competitive. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to hearing everyone else.
Thank you very much, Anne. Right, let's, again, I also just, Jonathan, if you had a few words as well from your perspective, or do you want to jump in a little bit later?
No, I'd like to jump in now, Susanna. I echo Anne's comments about AI and that AI is here, everybody. And so for those of you that don't know, in my day job, we manufacture grinding wheels for every industry. And one of those industries is actually AI. So we're exporting grinding wheels in support of AI, not only to help make the silicon wafers for the chips, but also to grind nuclear fuel rods for powering those chips. So, don't think of AI as just a tool. Think of it as an export opportunity beyond just it being a tool. Maybe you manufacture something that AI uses. So look for those opportunities. But in reality, what do small businesses like myself, we look at AI and we go, wow, this is a lot of money, entry into this, getting all this data together, all these servers are so expensive. How can small companies leverage AI? And Bill's here. He's going to share some examples. I'm going to share a couple examples from my world in that most of the AI that we use are for marketing. We get people in here to do videography, to do pictures and things like that. And they use AI to clean up sound. They use AI to do, basically photoshopping some of the pictures to get certain things out of the pictures that people don't like. We've all seen the commercial of the young gentleman, and he's flexing in the mirror, and his mom's taking the picture of him, and then he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I can't post this. You could see her in my mirror," and you see her getting deleted automatically. That's a lot of the things that AI can do to help you. But I think the misnomer that a lot of people have is you have some people that feel it's really easy and they get themselves in a lot of trouble with it. And then B, you have other side of the coin where they go, wow, this is way too complicated. I'll never be able to use it. Um, AI isn't as easy as we would all like to dream it is. It can get us in trouble if we don't know what we're doing. But then if we know what kind of we're doing and what we're trying to use it for, it is very easy to use. So, I'm kind of saying it's both sides of the coin on both ends because it is. But you have to be skilled to know how to use it. And, in my particular business, we do things like get these videos and things ready, and then we present it to IBT. And IBT then can help us with social media postings, with our website, with all kinds of different things. And then they have their own AI tools that they have that Susanna is going to talk about and how that's integrated. So for exporters, this is truly an exciting time. If you're on the manufacturing side like me and you make things for the AI industry hardware wise, boy, half of our revenue in February was just for AI. Just AI itself was half of our monthly revenue in February. So, these industries are booming. We're going to see them continue to boom. But then on the flip side of things, when you get into marketing and you get into things like that, Susanna and Bill, they're going to share just some examples and stories of how you can use AI to present your company to prospective clients around the world. And I think that's where AI really helps a small business. You look like you have a bigger footprint without having all that money invested in having people on the ground to have that bigger footprint. So AI can be definitely used as an asset to make your company stand out above others if used properly. So that's my little spiel, Susanna. I'm going to turn it over to Bill. I know Bill's got some great insight to share, and I may jump in from here and there just to share a few thoughts on different things.
Jonathan, thank you so much. I appreciate it, especially the fact that there's an economy with AI looks, oh, it's so easy, I can do it, to, whoa, it's overwhelming, I can't. Before I pass over to Bill, I just wanted to say, sort of introduce myself as well. So my name is Susanna. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. And IBT Online is what's called a full stack digital marketing agency. That means that we do everything digital, your website, your e-commerce, your digital marketing in between. And our website, if you want to learn more about us, is ibt.onl. We are really, really pleased and proud that we have for the second year in a row, a strategic partnership with U.S. Commercial Service, particularly for e-commerce. But there are many state-run programs that we've been involved with across many states, and so have developed. We're very, very focused on sort of mid-cap world and the international exporter world. Today's agenda, we're going to start with Bill, and he's going to tell us a bit about how his company uses AI to help his clients, really, really figure out what markets and how, and do all the market research side, and then to figure out how, as he said, go global successfully. After that, I'm going to talk a little bit about how AI is being spread out across the marketing, sales and marketing together, marketing world, and then try to group it into 4 big buckets that I think might make it more easy to understand, and then spend a bit of time on use cases. We've left time at the end for Q&A, but if you've got a burning question, put it in the chat box now, or raise your hand, or interrupt. We're always happy for discussion. This is, we're all online. Unfortunately, we're not sitting around a lunch table or a dinner table, but let's see if we can make it productive and useful for everybody. With that, I want to turn over to Bill and ask about Edwards Global Services and how they've been using AI to really, really help their clients. Bill.
Thanks, Susanna. I'm Bill Edwards. I'm based out on the West Coast. I'm the chairman of the District Export Council here in Southern California. And my company, Edwards Global Services, 25 years old. It's known as EGS, a little easier to put on the slide. We work with U.S. franchise companies, taking them into new countries. We export franchise companies. And one of our biggest challenges is determining what countries are the best for each brand to go into. Not where they want to go on vacation or where all the leads are coming in over in the internet, but where are they going to make the most money by taking their limited resources and choosing other countries. Up until now, up until AI, our system was really well developed. We would go to the other countries, analyze the competitors, see the market, probably pay a consulting firm to get detailed information about the marketplace. And it would take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to analyze the priority countries for a client. That's not the case anymore. Now we use AI, and we use AI to look at some basic factors. What's the competitive market out there for any particular brand? And by the way, you have to look at each brand individually. What are going to be the best countries for that brand? Then once we've done an analysis and figure out the details, which I'm going to show you just a summary of, then we ask AI to do something that used to take us a long time and a lot of difficulties, and that is, who are the companies we should contact to make an investment to become the licensee for the country? This is what you're going to see today is using my good friend ChatGPT 4.0, done last month. Next slide, please, Suzanne. So the most important thing that I've learned, and I actually learned this from John Worthington, who's the CEO of IBT. He and I spent some time on the recent U.S. Commercial Service Trade Winds mission to Latin America. And I told him my big challenge was how to do prompts. And he gave me some basic information that's really helped. The real prompt that we use to give the results you're going to see is about 3 times this size, but we couldn't get it all on the slide if I put everything in. So the basics are here. We're going to talk about a hypothetical brand, Georgie's Bagels. It already operates in some markets in Asia, but we want to take it into new markets, but we want to prioritize those markets. So we want to get the pluses and minuses of taking this brand into each country. And we want to know how many shops we can open, because the more shops we can open, the more money we can make. I know that sounds simple, but determining the number of locations in a country is one of the most difficult things we do. Since we're a franchise, we have to know what the regulations are for a foreign brand to operate in the country. We've been hearing things about non-tariff barriers with other countries. Well, there are franchise barriers that some countries have put up to foreign brands coming in. And how well accepted is this type of a food and beverage ban that's already been proven in other Asian countries going to be in the new countries? Now, finally, how many shops can we open? And the number of shops there are the ones that are already open in Asia. Next slide, please. So this is the feedback we got from my friend ChatGPT about what this particular brand needs to compete globally. We knew most of these things, but it's always good to have the details. This is an iconic brand in the United States. It has scalable formats. What does that mean? That means that it can be small shops, medium, or large. Not all restaurant brands can do that. Also, what kind of supply chain? This has a proprietary product, which was in part of the prompt you didn't see. And that proprietary product has to be imported in. Those of you who know about importing, foreign countries don't like the importation of American food products very much. That would be putting it mildly. So how are we going to get that thing in? All of these markets require halal, which is not a problem because we were already that way. And then what do we need to do as far as the legal aspects? Now, this is a summary. The actual section given me back to us was about 3 pages long. I just summarized a couple of bullet points here. and so we have to localize flavors and items and that sort of thing. So these are just some of the basics that came back from ChatGPT. Next slide, please. Now, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this. If you don't have a big screen, you probably won't. But first of all, it told us what the pluses and minuses are. Singapore, affluent, brand savvy. The minuses, very high cost and basically a saturated market. So there's good news and bad news. Now that may seem obvious, but it really is important to know the details. Again, this is a summary little chart on the top here to 2 or 3 pages of detail that ChatGPT gave us, but I can't show you all that. Indonesia, very large population, youth market, which is good for this brand, but really difficult getting a foreign food product into the country. Malaysia, a good market, but there are political problems there, and they do not like foreign brands. They put up very tall barriers. Thailand is, by the way, most of the new brands that go in are based on tourism, not necessarily local. And so ChatGPT found that without a problem. Now we said how many shops? And you'll notice that it varies by country. Singapore is tiny, but it still could handle about 12 shops. Franchise law, no, is good. Franchise law, yes, is a challenge because in Malaysia, especially, the government must approve a foreign brand coming in, and they take 9 to 12 months to do that. That's not a good thing. So anyway, we go down to the bottom line here, and I'm going really fast through this, that the actual ChatGPT output that created these charts is many pages long, but you're just seeing a quick snapshot. Indonesia first, primarily because of the size of the market. Thailand second because of tourism. Malaysia third, at least it's a big market, so that's good. And then Singapore, it really is, we can't really make it if we can only open 6 locations in 5 years. That's not financially feasible. Next slide, please. So we said, who are the companies we ought to approach? Rather than going and doing a detailed analysis ourselves and hiring a consultant to do that, we ask our friend ChatGPT based on a series of parameters which we put in as far as who the licensee should be and how much money they should have and what their business should already be. Give us the top 3 companies to contact in each country. Now, this is a place where you have to be careful because ChatGPT, it tells you some good things, but you have to filter everything you see based on experience you already have. And in this case, it did a really good job. The ones in red are ones we've already done license agreements with for other brands. It did a very good job of coming up with the best companies for us to start our search for. So that's a quick and dirty analysis, Suzanne. It's not very detailed on the screen, but it actually is a summary of about 30 to 40 pages of analysis that came back from ChatGPT. It probably cut our time by about 2/3 as far as analyzing countries to start marketing to, and it cut our cost by 80%.
Wow.
But we have to always ask the question, is what it's giving back to us real? And that's important. So that's a little example that is something that a consulting group like ours would use. I hope that was helpful.
That was very, very helpful. Thank you very much, Bill. That was a great example of a use case for ChatGPT for exploring new potentials. And as you said, enormous time saver, resource saver, and focus. Although, as you emphasized, always have a human oversight. So what we like
Always
to call,
have a human.
yeah, a sort of AI infused human oversight.
I like that. I like that term very much. Well, I have to remember that one.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I wanted now to sort of step back a second, as it were, and define what we're really talking about in terms of AI, because, for us, it's very much a continuation of, or natural evolution of the internet. And the internet is now so pervasive across the entire globe. With nearly 70% of the world using the internet for most of their day. So it's everywhere, and therefore AI will also become just everywhere. And the website on this internet, you'll see what I mean when I say that it is the AI is a natural progression of it. We have been using AI, or the internet uses AI from its very creation. The way Google algorithms, the way Amazon, if you go on to Amazon and you buy a book or buy a frying pan, you'll say, oh, have you seen these other things? That is driven by an AI software tool. The algorithm that pushes you into seeing more of the things that you've already liked are all those algorithms are all based on AI. The difference really is the generative AI that's now come. I wanted to bring out these big trends that we're seeing on the internet at the moment. They're all interlinked, and that's, I think, one of the interesting things as well. AI is driving all of those converging trends that we're seeing. E-commerce has been there for a while. We didn't always have generative AI, but generative AI is changing, fundamentally changing the way e-commerce is being led, both on the B2C and on the B2B side. It's changing data privacy, personalization, and so on. So there are those 6 big trends, but AI weaves its way throughout, which I think is an interesting way of looking at it. It is affecting everything on the web. We've obviously had artificial intelligence for a long time. I mean, science fiction, but I think already in the 1940s there was machine learning. There was robotics in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Artificial neural networks came in and were amazing. That was really the burst of the internet. But as I said earlier, this generative AI, which really sort of burst on the scene in October 2023 with ChatGPT being launched by OpenAI, that is a new set. That's a new paradigm. It is a new shift altogether. And that's really when we're talking generally about AI. A lot of what we're talking about is this generative AI, but not only, but a lot of it is this generative AI that we're talking about. And the word generative is quite important, as we'll see when we look at the different tools that are available for small mid-cap companies if they want to get on board with this. As I said, AI sort of launched on the scene in late 2023. As we all know, within 5 days it had 1 million users. I guess when I read these stats, for me, it's like it shows you how much the internet world, the connected world, this like 5.5 billion of us on the web, how ready we were to use this, how much it was a piece that fit into the puzzle of what we do every day in terms of our business use, our outreach, our sales and our marketing, and the way we capture and digest information. Of that. There's some stats here on the right side of the slide. One of the ones that I find interesting is that 15% of ChatGPT's users are American. Only 15%? So it is everywhere. It is already worldwide, which also raises the slight point about competition. And don't think that just because chat is American or whatever, that don't think that you have a new competitive tool that nobody else is using. Everyone else is using it too. For that. I also wanted to emphasize how much people are using generative AI, and in this case, I took the example of ChatGPT. On the right-hand side of your slide, top 10 websites in the world by total visits. December until February 2024. ChatGPT was approximately number 50 on that list. This year, and the last one I can get is to end of February 2025, Chat is at 8th position. And you can see the amount of market share it has pulled from Google, YouTube, Facebook. All the big guys have lost market share, mainly to Chat. And my personal guess is that you will see Chat at number 3 or 4 within the end of this year. That realization has some impact on what you do on the web, how you expect people to search for you, how you produce information, how you yourself look at information. What about the moral issues? What about plagiarism? What about deep fakes? What about hallucinations? All those things. So there's a lot that goes into this realization that Chat is used as a search engine and is gaining enormous momentum. Okay, there's still a big, Google at 81 billion and Chat at 4. Okay, there's a big difference, but it is gaining super fast, super fast. That's why you're starting to see Chat turn up in all of your analytics. If you go to your Google Analytics, again, a year ago, you didn't see Chat GPT. Today, you're seeing it. On the example on the right-hand side, it's in 12th position. 6 months ago, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. And okay, it's in 12th position, but if you look, it's Google CPC, Bing CPC. It's just behind ThomasNet. This is for a B2B company. And the graphs on the left are too small to see, but it gives you an idea of the rise of Chat. And that's actually been in about 8 months that it appeared. And if you look at your analytics, I think you'll probably see the same, not just for your US analytics, but across your international analytics if you have a non-US websites. This just sort of, I talked about in the beginning the fact that AI is the bedrock of the internet, the way the internet works, the way it's structured more with search engines and things. And all those digital marketing tools that you've been using for years, like Google Analytics and SEMrush and Sprout Social and Monkey Roll, all of them are based on AI. They all use AI tools. And I'm not saying that generative AI makes them redundant, not at all. All those tools are racing to incorporate some aspect of large language models of these generative AIs, so that the LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT, are being integrated into digital marketing in a way that makes the whole sales and marketing process quite different. And it allows digital marketeers like ourselves to look at things that we've been struggling with for a while. And one of the biggest ones is content, and the other big one is predictive analytics. So we know what happened last month. We know what happened 12 months ago. What happens next month? And believe it or not, we can start to lift a bit of a veil, just like Bill's example there gave you some analysis of new markets. We can start to lift a bit of a veil on predictive analysis as well. So it's a very exciting time for digital marketing. And again, I appreciated Jonathan's summary, which was very, very apt. I'd say half our clients are saying, this looks super easy. I can do this. And the other half are going, this is overwhelming. I haven't a clue where to start. They then merge into the middle and go, okay, there are bits I can do, there are bits that you do, we can work this out. But it is striking to see the difference in it. I think we can all agree that AI is here. As Anne said in the beginning, AI is here. It's not something that's either going away or something that's sci-fi. And also, as Anne said, today's version is the least powerful, the stupidest, the least flexible, the hardest to maneuver that there is. It's only growing progressively. progressing, sometimes in ways that we would prefer not to see, but it is certainly progressing from here. So, you as a company, it's no longer, it sounds vainglorious to tell you all, you're running your own companies, but it is no longer something you can ignore. You have to start looking at it, integrating it, figuring out how to do that. There are a lot of challenges, and just from the what's called smarketing, sales and marketing together, smarketing. From the smarketing point of view, the biggest challenge really is how to integrate AI into that whole process of smarketing. Where does it fit from the digital marketing and prospecting to signing a client, and to then actually producing fantastic results for a client? So there's a lot of things you can ask yourselves. And generative AI can do content, can do videos, can do all kinds of things. What are the things that you're missing in your toolbox? But some of the big questions you can ask are, for example, one of the biggest ones is, are all members of my team up there? Are they all up to speed on this? Another one is, which ones? How do I know which tools to use? How do I keep up to speed with things? I can tell you from our company, we have one person whose only job is dedicated to figuring out what's going on in AI and telling it to everybody. There are weekly meetings for the entire company as a company, and then secondary meetings for different groups, just to figure out, are we good on the AI? Are we integrating properly? Are we missing something? So it is something to be really taken seriously. Before I go on, maybe we should have a poll. Maybe we should have a quick poll on, are you using AI in your company? Are you comfortable with it? Are you using it all the time? First of all, thank you for responding so quickly. And I can give you a little bit of feedback from the beginnings of it. It looks to me like there's a lot of people who are beginning. It looks like a lot of people are very uncomfortable still. So we're very happy that you're on this webinar. And thank you very much. Let's close that poll and go on a little bit. I wanted to group the types of AI that we use in sales and marketing into 4 areas, because I think it's easier to understand. They often overlap, but this is hopefully easier to understand as a preliminary base. The first part that I wanted just to say is just remember how important it is to have the right basic tools. And the very basis of any kind of digital marketing and sales is your website. And a lot goes into websites. A lot goes into the thought and the structure and the imagery. Think of it as a 3-dimensional object. Don't think of it as a flat brochure. Think of it as something that people arrive at different places in different ways and use in different places. The key message with any website is respecting the local buyer persona. So who is your local prospective client? That's the person who's going to be looking at your website most. That's the one who really has to be convinced by your website. And I wanted just to sort of remind people of that before looking a little bit more about what AI can do on it. If you're looking at, there are AI tools now that we put in place, monitor and manage for our clients, that allow us to, it's not even so much speeding up, but go deeper with the so-called localization process. So making it more relevant to local audiences. Jonathan gave the example of imagery earlier. We can now go further into optimizing imagery and video than we could before. The whole keyword research and keyword optimization is a lot stronger than what it used to be before we used AI tool or these current AI tools, the new generative AI tools. So the way that websites especially can be used as a much more plastic, much more flexible tool for your sales and marketing team has really been heightened with generative AI. And it's very, very clear on e-commerce, and I'll get to that in a second. But the AI tools that we have now in our toolbox allow us to make websites much more dynamic, much more specific and personalized. AI has very significant impacts on how you use keywords and what's called search engine optimization. SEO, search engine optimization, is probably the term that everybody knows. Is, oh, I have to optimize, make my website friendly for the search engines. Well, as we saw earlier, chat is now a major search engine. How do I make my website friendly for generative AI? Generative AI searches very differently from Google. And so there's a lot of different things you have to do. Generative AI looks, interesting enough, it looks for higher content, higher quality content, better content. So there you have to have, quality content, longer tail keywords, much more problem solving. Again, taking the local prospective client into perspective and thinking about their pain points. What are the main pain points for your local buyer persona? That's how chat will find you if you're addressing those issues. Imagery is also more important with chat, because chat does scan imagery as well and look at alt tags and metadata. So, making sure that your digital presence is aligned with generative AI will become increasingly important. And so generative AI SEO is increasingly being replaced by something called GEO, sometimes called AEO, but AEO sounds hard to say, so people are saying more GEO. And it focuses on very much allowing generative AI tools like ChatGPT and all the other ones, Claude, Jasper, all the other ones, to find and value your online content. So it really, likes things like structured data. The easiest way to think about it as well is ChatGPT answers questions, and notably it answers the how question. So I use Google to say, what time is my train? What is, I don't know, what is a this, that, or the other? What is a shooting star? What is the best pizza place in town? I use chat when I say, how do I put a abrasive wheel into my nuclear program? Sorry, Josh, probably wrong example. How do I integrate my hydraulic pump into my machine? How do I get better brand authority on this blog? So a lot of those questions are being put through chat, and chat is keen to find. It looks very much at those things. So it's about being AI readable rather than Google indexed increasingly. And so some points that you might want to think about on this page. So the first big bucket of things that I want to talk about then, that I've just talked about now, is how it affects your digital assets, your websites, your SEO, the localization. The second big sort of pillar of growth is AI-driven market intelligence. I won't go into this because I think that Bill gave you a fantastic example of market intelligence using AI. But you don't only have to do it to say what is the best market for me in my in exporting, but what is the best product that I should now add to my range? Should I differentiate the product here or there? So it's about tracking competitors. It's about integrating data and looking at all those combined. It is an amazing way of having data-driven decision making, so that you're taking decisions on huge amounts of data which have been put into manageable size intelligence that you can then use. So Bill gave a great example of AI-driven market intelligence. That's the second big pillar of AI. The third really is about e-commerce and how AI is transforming e-commerce. E-commerce is very competitive. It's competitive on price, on service, on delivery. And it's really because e-commerce is driven by the B2C world. And even if you're in the B2B world, as a person, you go home at night and you say, oh, I want to order this thing online. And I go to Amazon or wherever it is I go, and I get it the next day. So if I'm a B2B company, I'm like, oh, God, hard to deliver the next day. But that's the pressure. And it's competitive, and it's price competitive as well, and experience competitive. You might not be able to always compete if you're a B2B company on the price or on delivery. So you go more towards request a quote. But with AI, you can certainly compete now with the experience. And that means putting much more personalization, sort of, interacting with the client and the prospective buyer in a different way on a personalized basis, saying, okay, you've got this piece. Have you figured out this line configurator on how that might be worthwhile with your hydraulic pump or abrasive wheel that you're buying? Showing other customer experiences that interact with that. So it's a very strong addition to e-commerce. It allows this, what I call hyper-personalized engagement. And people these days, B2C and B2B, they want something that's highly personalized if they're going to go and buy or look and request quotes for items on the web. And today's chatbots, you can have really good ones in multiple languages. And you can get ones that drive quite a lot of traffic down and respond, and then end with very good endings directly linking into a salesman. So it can be very, very personalized in that sense. The emailing and ad personalization has been around for a while, but that's increasing. And all those cross-selling algorithms about, I bought this, so you might like this. Those are more and more dominant. And then all those smart product recommendations. So not just I bought a vacuum cleaner, therefore I need a vacuum bag. I bought a vacuum cleaner, therefore I need a new coffee table. But there's some cross-selling there as well. So very interesting, and a lot of different types of tools, software tools that are AI driven for this environment. There are so many, in fact, that I decided to put them onto try and group them into different aspects, especially for e-commerce. So there's different types. They can all be generative, but as you can see, there's some for vision, which are called CVs, and that's really important for any kind of visual search. It's really important for quality control as well. And that's what a lot of our B2B clients use them for. Natural language processing, customer support, interpreting human language, and that includes really great, translation tools that we use now for our clients. The machine learning part, again, those are the recommendation engines, the dynamic pricing. And then if you hook it into your CRM and your logistics partners, your logistics ERPs, you can get some very good, interesting demand forecasting as well. So we have how AI affects your website SEO, how it does forecasting and new market analysis, how it does e-commerce, and the fourth one I want to talk about really is content. And AI is amazing for content generation. Now, I'm Chief Content Officer, so this is dear to my heart. And my first reaction is, no way. No way is a machine making me redundant. But it's not about that. It's about using tools, integrating them, and leaning in. And the effect is just fantastic. So much better than what we can do just by using old-fashioned ways. You can really scale and mesh content in new ways. And what really gets me excited is merging different types of content together, the written, the code, and the visual, all in one aspect, in certain posts on LinkedIn or on things that really have a very strong impact now for prospective buyers. So it's a really, really fantastic tool for smart advertising and smart marketing. So some practical applications, obviously. Optimization we talked about, and that whole thing there. The market intelligence, Bill gave that fantastic example. The hyper-personalization that is increasingly needed for demanded really from buyers everywhere. Content for that, and then real-time analytics and data-driven decisions for that. I guess there's one other thing that I will just bring up, and it's really, I just want to leave it there as one slide. It's kind of a topic for a whole other discussion, which is guardrails and strategies and policies. And these are not really set by governments very well, because even the EU is not setting ones because it's moving too fast. But I do believe that it's up to boardrooms to take some decisions and to figure out how best it's done within the company. I would say two things. One, if you don't, you will find that everybody in your company just does what they want, and you're going to have a mess. And the second is that if you don't, you will get different levels within the company. And it's really important that you bring along your staff, and everybody's like, okay, I can do this, sign me up to a course, figure out how to do this, and so on. It has to come from the top down in the company. It has to come from the CEO who says, this is going to be our AI policy, and these are the tools we're going to use. This is how we're going to monitor it. This is what we're going to do with it. And I would really recommend that. I think we can probably go for another poll. Let's go for another poll before I go into the use cases, because I'm talking too much. And let's have a quick poll. And just say, if you want to learn more about these things, let us know, and we're very happy to send you some blogs. There's quite a lot on our website, which is for free, downloadable, that you can look at as well. And again, I'd say thank you very much for the quick responses. So I want to talk more about some use cases and just give you a little tour of some of the things we've been doing with our clients, which have been really interesting, I think. We worked for a company called Amsol. We do all of their international marketing, and they're based in Wisconsin. One of the aspects they have is that they are very keen to maintain control of their brand, and therefore have all of their marketing in-house. They generate leads for their distributors, which we actually think is the right way to go about it. So they generate leads for their distributors, which are then handed to their distributors. And it's not always easy to, generate enough content that is localized enough. And it used to be very hard for us and take a lot of time to localize each one. One for North Mexico, South Mexico, Caribbean was all different. To have to speak to that local buyer persona that we would then feed to the distributor. And that was hard to do. And now with AI, we're able to do imagery and impactful imagery much faster for that. And that's been a real boon because we've been able then to have a not just fast on productivity, but a much deeper impact into their company, and to really localize their social media approach. Because when you localize it, that's when you build the brand awareness and the domain authority within those local areas. This is a company that requires new distributors all the time. They're always looking for new distributors out there, and so the distributors, if you can show them that you have strong social media and that it's impactful and has a strong local content, then you're likely to get better local distributors for that. So AI has been very impactful for us with these campaigns. Another Midwest company, actually, I think they're in Michigan. This was a redesign of their US website. And we did a lot of work with for the website, not just in imagery with AI, but for user experience, for the articulation of where people go. It's complicated because they have both the technologies, the markets, the products. So, that was one aspect of making sure the content was easy. But how do people go from one to the other within the website was very important to us. And AI tools helped us understand and plot. And we could see this with the results in the analytics very well of how people were going from one page into another. Because people arrive at websites all over the place. They don't go from the home page to this page to that page. They arrive in the middle of the website. So where do they go once they're there? How do they articulate within the site? And there are AI tools that now help you understand that optimal user experience. Pettibone is a company that does a lot of trade shows, a lot of new products, and a lot of just trade shows, but like displays where they'll go into a market and show they'll bring some of their products, these huge lifters, the carry lift, for example, into markets and say, this is how it is. This is a demonstration. And in order to do that, we need to have a strong and always a changing environment for them. So we didn't want to have them all, here's our new product. It looks just like the other products. Here's our new product. It has the same, of course it has the same brand, but it's hard to tell one product from another sometimes. Now with the AI and the visualization, we can make them much more distinct, much more impactful on the visual side. I mentioned analytics and AI. That's really strong because it allows you to track the ROI, and anything you do on the online world has to be looked at in terms of return. And the great thing about the internet and AI is that you can change it fast. You can modify it and see the results. You don't have to wait a long time. So that allows you a lot of control over it and say, okay, that worked. What part of that worked? Let's repeat the part that worked and get rid of the part that didn't work. And you can do that very fast now with AI tools that allow you a very granular look at the analytics. So you're no longer just relying on sort of Looker, Google Analytics, Looker Studio, and so on. But using all the SEMrush, using all the other ones as well, you start to get a much finer grain of analytics, which allows you more data decision making. Action plan, resources, Q&A. Let's talk a little bit about that. I guess one, just a quick sort of overview from our point of view. AI is here and it has catapulted a lot of these trends forward. And sales now is dominated by the digital first world. And you have to meet your customer in the way that they want to be met, on the platform they want, in the way they want to meet, personalization, omni-channel, and so on. So for us, the future of sales is very digital and dominated by that digital first experience. The basis is always going to be, for the moment at least, a strong core base of your online real estate. And at the moment, that's your website. So I think, looking at your website for the beginning might be the first step. And, the first step then, how does your website perform? Is it AI ready? Is it relevant to the local buyer persona? Has it good load speeds, good imagery, easy to navigate, all those things? Is it ready for AI? Step two would be to say, where does AI fit into my sales and marketing processes, and who should manage it, and how do we manage it, and what are the teams, and what training do we need that people need to get this, and how do we do that funnel moving forward? And the third one, which we would recommend, is to launch a pilot AI project. Make it small, containable, well guardrailed, well enabled, and then examine what you've done. What we did when we started also was to say, what is a common pain point that we all have in our company? And okay, it's not just bad coffee, but we all struggle with certain things in meetings. Let's figure that out. And we put someone in charge. What are the tools we need? How do we do it? And it has to come from up top. It has to be, it's not optional. It is there. It is, and then just reiterate that. There's some assets if you feel like reading. The age of AI is amazing. The coming wave is a bit scary, but these are all amazing books. Tons of, this is just a small selection, but things that we found useful. HubSpot has a lot of free downloadables, as does OpenAI and DeepMind. A lot of web resources. Please also look at our website, as there's some downloadables for free. HubSpot Marketing has quite a few for free downloadables as well. And obviously, this is just, as I said, a very small selection. So with that, I don't know if we have one more poll before questions. Why don't we launch a poll? How about that? We'll see if there's a poll for people, and before we get to our questions, if there are any questions. Thank you very much. Again, really great to see that there's a very active audience there, and that there's a range of the yeses to the thinking about it for that. Thank you again very much for that. And let's turn it open a little bit. Jonathan, you said you had some remarks as well.
Yes, I do. A couple things real quick. Susanna, if you could explain, a lot of these large language models were based off Western European men. And now we're starting to see kind of AI shifting in different markets to more meet the culture that's there. So, in certain parts of Asia, they're starting to see AI models where it's more centric to the country or the region or the culture in those areas, especially, South America, Central America, Asia, things like that. So can you just talk about that for a quick second? Because, in the beginning, AI was just Western European men. That's what it was based off of. So all the algorithms and the things that you would get when you did your websites, really it had to be presented for Western European men, and it was really hard to customize and get AI to recognize it. But I think as AI is getting better, it is starting to recognize, as you guys are doing website globalization, that actually coming to fruition where it's more regionalized.
Fantastic point. And I guess it also gets back to a point that Anne made, which is, today is the stupidest level of AI that you're going to see. But what we're finding is, I guess, 2 points. One, it is moving very quickly, and there's now a plethora of tools. It's actually, and there's AI is now being integrated into everything. Something that used to be that dates 10, 15 years, suddenly it's, oh, now we've infused AI, so we're modern with it. And you have to take a real cautious view on that. So we use a lot of tools that go into other markets. And if we're looking at sort of the Middle East market, for example, and it's a very different market from the US. And they use different tools. So, but chat now says, oh, we're good in this. But you have to take it with a grain of salt. They're not yet all there. But to your point, there's lots of other dedicated LLMs for individual markets. And chat is moving definitely towards, and as is DeepMind and Anthropic and Deep Search, they're all moving into much more global platforms. When you're creating any kind of agent or a GPT, we recently did one for a French company looking to go into the US, and we created a GPT, an agent for them, all in French, only using French, and directed the GPT only towards the .fr. And then just for fun, we were looking at comparing responses between that GPT and one we had made for the US, and they are very different. So it was, yeah. So they're coming together, but it's taking time.
Suzanne?
Hey.
Suzanne, may I make a comment as we're getting ready to finish?
Yes.
If you're not using this, your competitors are. That's my bottom line.
Yep. I agree. So step up to the plate.
Yep.
You're not
better
using
do
it.
it because they are.
Absolutely. One of the questions we have is, how do you keep up with AI? Especially if you're a small company and you don't have just a dedicated AI employee. It's tough. Find someone in your company who's like really obsessed with it and wants to take it on. There's a couple of really good resources, I would say. I think HubSpot is a good one. It's a CRM, but they do a lot on their website for keeping up with AI. There's some really good podcasts as well, which are AI marketing focused. But indeed, we have someone whose job it is just to make sure that we are understanding and keeping up to date with all the different AI tools. It's for us a full-time job. Yeah. I think very much we're running into overtime, and you've all stayed, which I really appreciate. Thank you. There's a few more questions in, but I think we will leave those to an email response. We don't want to keep you from your urgent jobs of exporting and making great things in your companies and getting to grips with your AI. So I wanted to thank Bill, fantastic example and case study of using it for market prediction. For anyone who's looking at franchising and looking internationally for franchising, there you go. Bill's email address is there, and the company website as well. So do get in touch. Jonathan, thank you as always for your insightful views and your thoughts, and for caring so much about exporters and U.S. small mid-cap companies. And Anne, as always, a delight to see you. Thank you for your comments. Very much appreciated. And what an amazing resource NADEC is, and you especially for American exporters. And then the audience, yeah, as Bill said, step up to the plate, get there.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. We appreciate the partnership, and And thank you for sharing all this information with our companies out there.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Ann, very much. And see you all. Hopefully we'll sit around a table soon.
That would be great.
Thank you all very, very much. And see you all the next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.